The time by Caracris is 6 p.m. and this is CBX Business News. The business news headlines are brought to you by QMax Wealth Management, making more possible.
Jamaica's recovery under fire. Ghana goes for gold and Mongolia pushes for global financing. Good evening and welcome to CBX Business News for Monday, August 24, 2026. I'm Rhondeen Williams. Thanks for joining us. Coming up, Jamaica's opposition blames the slow pace of post-military recovery for the country's continued economic weakness. Also ahead, Ghana sets its sights on becoming a global gold and jewelry hub by 2030, with plans to take more of its artistry to international markets. And later, Mongolia calls for more international financing to restore degraded land as developing countries seek greater support. Stay with us as we unpack these stories and more right after the break.
In today's world, attention is valuable, visibility matters, and powerful storytelling can shape influence, build brands, and drive connections. This is CBX, a dynamic media and production division of the Jamaica Stock Exchange. CBX helps businesses, institutions, and leaders connect with audiences in powerful ways. From real-time market updates to live streaming, digital campaigns, executive features, social media management, and large-scale social projects, CBX delivers content with purpose, precision, and impact. We create moments that inform, experiences that engage, and content that moves audiences across platforms and across the region. Whether on screen, online, in studio, or on location, CBX helps businesses amplify their voice and elevate their presence. Powered by creativity, strategy, technology, and execution, CBX brings together media production, digital storytelling, and communications expertise under one integrated network. CBX, creating content, driving conversations, elevating businesses. CBX, your vision, your business, your source.
Mikey, is what sweet you saw?
Yeah, dear babes. Where's the Cathy? We are going to party tonight.
Party? You secure your future yet? Careless.
Did you know that over time the stock market has provided a reliably high return on investments? Be sure to contact a licensed stockbroker for more information on this exciting investment opportunity.
Taking care of business, Mikey?
Yeah, Cathy. I'm securing my future. Want to come look over my stock portfolio?
The Jamaica Stock Exchange, providing a fair, efficient, and transparent stock market.
The local news is brought to you by Derrimon Trading, better from the start. The Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, Tease the Senses, and Pulse Investments.
Welcome back to CBX Business News. We begin with fresh concerns over Jamaica's economic recovery. Opposition leader Mark Golding is linking the pace of Jamaica's post-Hurricane Melissa recovery to the continued weakness in the economy. The latest data from the Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ, shows the economy contracted by 2.9% in the April to June quarter when compared with the same period last year. Speaking at a recent town hall meeting, Golden argued that inadequate support for affected households, tourism workers, and small businesses have slowed the country's economic recovery.
You have nothing for the business community, especially the small businesses that have been damaged. Is it any wonder that Jamaica is in a deep recession? Is it any wonder that we've had 3 consecutive quarters of negative growth?
But contrary to the opposition leader's assertion that Jamaica is in a recession, the PIOJ confirmed during its quarterly review of the economy on August 18 that the country is not in a recession. The agency explains that while economic output has declined when compared to the corresponding periods a year earlier, quarter-over-quarter data show the economy has continued to expand. At the same time, Golden is also raising concerns about the treatment of large private investments under the government's National Reconstruction and Resilience Framework. Under the Fast Jamaica component of NARA, private sector projects valued at $15 million or more can qualify for strategic investment status, allowing for expedited coordination and regulatory approvals. Golden, however, is questioning the transparency and accountability surrounding how those powers can be exercised.
There's no accountability in the structure of NAR. And private investors investing over 15 million US can apply to be put on a list that they can get the benefit of the push through of their projects. That's a recipe for corruption. That's a recipe for corruption. In the meantime, 9-10 months past since the hurricane, NARA is not even functional.
Leader Mark Golding. West Indies Petroleum Whip Terminal is weighing an expansion of its storage footprint on Jamaica's north coast, with Falmouth emerging as a possible location for a new facility. WIP Chairman Charles Chambers says the company already owns land directly across from the Falmouth cruise ship terminal and sees an opportunity to develop storage infrastructure at the location.
We own some land directly across from the Falmouth cruise ship terminal. I think that is a highly underutilized terminal. In Ocho Rios, we have a small terminal there that we use to that we run pipelines directly into the cruise ship terminals. And so cruise ships can come up there and get fuel directly by a pipeline. It's a huge advantage. I think there are opportunities to do something similar in Falmouth and potentially create a storage facility there that we would use to distribute product in the north.
Meanwhile, the wider West Indies Petroleum Group is keeping the door open to bring in another company to the Jamaica Stock Exchange, JSE. Chairman Charles Chambers says a potential listing of WIP Energy remains under consideration, although the group has not settled on a timetable for taking the company public.
We've structured ourselves in a way that we're nimble and we can, we have great corporate governance at many levels, and we are assessing markets at all the time and considering when is the right time to come. So whenever it is that we are going to come to the market, obviously this would be the place for us to do it, because this is our home. We live here, we work here, we invest here, our kids go to school here, we go to the hospital here. We are a Jamaican company, and there's no other place that we would ever consider listing. And hopefully the opportunity strikes us as soon, and we take advantage. But we don't have any fixed dates to consider coming to the market with that company at the moment.
That was WIP Terminal Chairman Charles Chambers. And in corporate news, MFS Capital Partners has completed its acquisition of Century Business Machines Limited, CBM, giving the investment company full ownership of the business. MFL says it has acquired 100% of CBM's issued share capital, making the company a wholly owned subsidiary. All conditions required to close the transaction have either been satisfied or waived, bringing the acquisition process to an end. The company says the deal formed part of its strategy to diversify its product offerings, expand its business operations, and strengthen the growth of its balance sheet. Century Business Machine operates in Jamaica's business technology and office equipment market. We move to the latest updates from the JSE equities. In Monday's trading session, the JSE market activity resulted in the trading of 113 stocks, of which 47 advanced, 51 declined, and 15 traded firm. Leading the winners are First Rock Real Estate Investment, Cygnus Real Estate Finance USD, 138 Student Living Jamaica, and medical disposables and supplies. While leading the losers are JFP Limited, AS Bryden and Sons Holdings, Innovative Energy Group, and First Rock Real Estate Investments USD. Now the main index declined by 4,392.23 points to close at 368,399.71 points. The junior market index advanced by 2.26 points to close at 2,886.01 points.
It's time for the Market Education feature, brought to you by CARICRIS, Regional Ratings, Global Standards.
In today's Market Education feature, we'll be discussing the meaning of a straddle option strategy. A straddle is an option strategy that involves buying both a call option and a put option on the same asset with the same strike price and expiration date. The strategy is designed to benefit from a significant price movement in either direction. If the asset rises sharply, the call option can gain value, while a steep decline can increase the value of the put option. For the strategy to be profitable, however, the price movement must be large enough to cover total cost of purchasing both options.
That was the Market Education feature, brought to you by CARICRIS, Regional Ratings, Global Standards.
And that's it for the local news segment. Please do stay with us. The regional news is up next.
The local news is brought to you by Derrimon Trading, better from the start. The Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, tease the senses, and Pulse Investments.
Are so much book you need for high school?
I'll show you how to make sure you have all the money for my books and even some extra. It's called budgeting, Dad. Making a budget is the most important thing you can do to track your money. It keeps a record of how much you make, how much you spend, where you spend it, and most importantly, how much you can save. Write down all your income, write down all your expenses, see where you can cut down and allot more money to more important things, like saving.
It feels so good right now. Feeling so good right now, yeah, yeah. It feels so good right now. Feeling so good right now, yeah, yeah. It feels so good right now. Don't never ever ever wanna calm down. No, no, no. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Welcome back, and now for the regional business news. Guyana is targeting 2030 to establish itself as a global gold and jewelry hub as the government looks to move beyond raw gold exports and create more value for the industry. Speaking during a starting point interview on Sunday, technical consultant to the Ministry of National Resources, Dominic Gaskin, says this vision is being advanced through the National Eldorado Reimagined brand.
The vision behind it came directly from His Excellency, the President. He has been interested in the sector for some time and shown an interest in the sector. And his vision was simple, that Guyana becomes a gold and jewelry hub by the year 2030. And he added to the vision by specifically saying that he would like to see the sector promoted under one umbrella national brand. And that vision became the goal of a comprehensive strategy, and that national brand became El Dorado Reimagined.
The strategy includes 15 initiatives aimed at modernizing the industry, increasing productivity, and expanding gold and jewelry production for local and international markets. Gaskin says Ghana's billion-dollar gold industry provides a strong base for that expansion.
We're a gold producing country. We've been producing gold for 150 years. We exported, I think, about 1.6 billion US dollars worth of gold last year. It was our largest export before oil. So it's not a cottage industry. It is a commodity that is in demand globally. People like gold. Gold has a value and has traditionally had a value. And the idea is to associate Guyana with gold and then associate the jewelry industry with that gold by extension. So we want Guyana to be known for its gold, and we want to create that buzz about Guyana's gold. So I think that is also one of the things that you will see over the next few years, where people coming to Guyana automatically want a piece of Guyanese gold in whatever form they can get it, and ideally legitimately acquired.
That was technical consultant to Ghana's Ministry of National Resources, Dominic Gaskin. A proposed 14.6 million US dollar luxury development is moving ahead in Anguilla, with the Selena estate expected to generate jobs and business for local contractors and suppliers. The project will include luxury villas, recreational facilities, and spa and wellness amenities, with construction expected to begin before the end of the year. Speaking during a recent government press conference, Minister of Economic Development, Industry and Commerce, Kyle Hodge, says the investment is already generating opportunities locally.
The government welcomes this significant investment, which is expected to create employment, strengthen Anguilla's tourism product, and contribute to our continued economic growth. Importantly, the project is already creating opportunities for Anguillians, with 2 local architects responsible for the drawings, 2 local project management companies teaming up, and local labor directly involved in the development, ensuring that Anguillians will be participating meaningfully in bringing Selena Estate to life.
The development agreement also includes more than $1 million US in equipment, training, and technical support towards the redevelopment of the Carter landfill.
As part of its commitment under the MOU, the developer has agreed to provide equipment, training, and advisory support for the redevelopment of the Carito landfill. This contribution is expected to include equipment as well as operator training and technical guidance. Importantly, the MOU states that the value of the social contribution to be provided exceeds $1 million US.
That was Anguilla's Minister of Economic Development, Kyle Hodge. In other news, Cayman's electricity prices have risen, but are now slightly below the Caribbean average as energy costs across the wider region increase more sharply. The latest Caribbean Energy Price Index shows Cayman's electricity prices in August were 3% below the regional average, a significant shift from January, when they were 20% above average. However, the change does not mean electricity has become cheaper in Cayman. Instead, Cayman's prices have risen more slowly than those across the wider region, where the average electricity price has increased about 22% to 35 US cents per kilowatt hour from 29 cents in 2025. The report links the regional increase largely to the global energy shock associated with the conflict in Iran, which sent oil prices sharply higher earlier this year. Bonaire now has the highest nominal electricity price in the Caribbean, while Trinidad and Tobago has the lowest. The report's author, economist Marla Ducaron, says greater use of renewable energy could help reduce the Caribbean's exposure to volatility in international oil prices. And it's now time for news from the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 26 securities, of which 4 advanced, 11 declined, and 11 traded firm. Today's winners are Angostura Holdings, NCB Financial Group, the West Indian Tobacco Company, and Scotiabank Trinidad and Tobago. While leading the losers are Cinema One, MedCorp, Ansa McCall, and National Flour Mills. Now trading activity resulted in the following movements. The All TNT index declined by 12.02 points to close at 1,428.27. The composite index also declined but by 4.76 points to close at 1,012.62. However, the cross-listed index advanced by 0.44 points to close at 79.62, while the SME index declined by 4.08 points to close at 71.89. And we take a short break, but please do stay with us. The international news segment is up next. Welcome back. In international news, Mongolia is calling for greater international financing to help developing countries combat land degradation, desertification, and drought, with a greater role for financial institutions and the private sector. Speaking at the 17th session of the UN Convention to Combat Desertification, Mongolia's President Kurul Sukukna says global cooperation is needed to ensure financing, technology, and capacity building reach the countries and communities most vulnerable to land degradation.
To address the challenges faced in developing countries and those in arid and drought-prone regions, we need to mobilize collective global efforts and establish an equitable system to ensure that finance, technology, and capacity building reach the countries, regions, and people that need them most.
He further called on international financial institutions and development partners to expand grants and concessional financing.
Therefore, I call upon international financial institutions, development partners, and the private sector to expand grant aid, concessional finance, and green investment more broadly towards land restoration, drought resilience, and sustainable livelihoods.
That was President of Mongolia, Kurul Sukukna. Turning to North America, Canada's economy is strengthening despite continued trade tensions with the United States, with Prime Minister Mark Carney pointing to faster growth, stronger investment, and expanding exports. Carney says Canada is on track to post the second fastest economic growth rate in the G7 this year, while job creation is running at 4 times the U.S. pace. He also says exports outside the U.S. are rising and are projected to double over the next decade.
We're stronger now than when the United States started this trade war. More unified, more determined, more ambitious. With the strongest fiscal position in the G7 and a resilient economy, Canada has all the resources we need to pivot and to prosper. Growth is accelerating. We're projected to have the second fastest rate in the G7 this year and next. We are creating jobs in this economy at 4 times the rate of the United States. Our non-U.S. exports are up sharply. They're on track to double over the next decade.
The Prime Minister also pointed to foreign direct investment as evidence of growing investor confidence.
Foreign direct investment in Canada is at its highest level in 2 decades. It's running at twice the rate of our nearest G7 competitor. Canada. Canada now ranks as the most attractive country in the world for infrastructure investment.
That was Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney. Elsewhere in the Americas, Chile's producer inflation accelerated in July, driven largely by another sharp increase in mining and copper prices. Producer prices rose 20.5% from a year earlier, up 19.7% in June. Mining prices surged 34.7% as copper prices growth accelerated to 35.3%. Manufacturing inflation also strengthened to 6.5%. Utility price growth, however, slowed sharply to just 0.5% from 5.2% in June. On a monthly basis, Chilean producer prices increased 1.9% in July, compared with a 0.6% rise the previous month. And that's it for the international segment of the newscast. The news recap is coming up on the other side of the break.
Wealth is not simply counted in dollars or cents, but in the time we spend with love, in love, giving love. Wealth is not simply a means to an end. It is the means to live out loud. Wealth is more than money. It's about family, the memories you create, the legacy you leave behind, and your ability to enjoy life in the moment. It's also about seeing the QMAX possibilities and seizing investment opportunities to achieve the future you want and deserve. Which is why QMAX Wealth will focus on your investments so you can experience more. Because true wealth is truly more. To start investing today, call 876-926-7767.
He would say, the harder I work, the luckier I get. My father led the charge and felt that the development of real estate was the thing to do. He was one of the founders of Kingston Restoration Company.
The Scotia building downtown, he built it. Air Jamaica, he built it. The Punjab building in New Kingston. Manor Park, it's all his.
And now to recap our top stories in the local news. Opposition blames slow militia recovery for Jamaica's economic weakness. Regionally, Ghana targets global gold and jewelry hub by 2030. And internationally, Mongolia calls for more global financing to restore degraded land. Those were the stories making today's CBX Evening News. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Rhondeen Williams. Thanks for watching CBX. Your region, your business, your source.
I'm Livingston Morrison, CEO of the Jamaica Stock Exchange Group. You're watching CBX, your region,